Hi. Okay, three things that are not true. I am so old and so old school that I'm using a flip chart. We only use 10% of our brain's capacity. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Does that mean 10% of our memory capacity, 10% of our brain's processing power? Are they talking about secret psychic abilities that we just have to unlock? You know, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. But the fact is, it's nonsense. This is not a misinterpretation of scientific research. This is not people getting something a bit mixed up. This is just a total fabrication. It comes from nowhere of any substance. In fact, nobody even really knows where it came from. There are people who claim that Einstein said it, but I'm not aware that there's any evidence that that's true. Other people attribute it to an author who wrote something in the early 20th century which sounded kind of like that. But in any event, it didn't come from any kind of scientific analysis of the human brain. It's just something somebody said, people liked the way it sounded, and here we are, people still saying it today. It doesn't have any substance to it. It's something that sounds good to us because we'd like to think that we have lots of talents and abilities that we just haven't quite figured out yet. But this business about us only using 10% of our brain's power, or whatever that is not true. Second thing that is not true for today, salt is bad for our health. Now, I did address this in a different video, but I keep hearing it being bandied about, which suggests to me that not everyone on Earth is listening to my videos. What's up with that? Anyway, just to recap quickly, salt is bad for you if you have sodium sensitivity. If you are salt sensitive, then eating too much salt can give you high blood pressure. Are you salt sensitive? Well, about 20 to 25% of the population are sodium sensitive. So chances are you're not. It's 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 people. You're more likely to be sodium sensitive if you are from a non-white ethnicity. You are more likely to be sodium sensitive if you are older, because reduction in kidney function can make you more susceptible to salt raising your blood pressure. But most people, 4 out of 5 people roughly, are not. And for them, it really doesn't matter how much sodium is in their diet. It doesn't really harm them. So this idea that salt is bad for you, it probably isn't. If you eat a high salt diet and suddenly you find your blood pressure going up, or if you have a history of high blood pressure in your family, then probably a good idea to lay off the salt. But aside from that, it's likely it's not harmful to you at all. Third thing that is not true. A hypnotist can make you think you are a chicken. So we've all seen these stage shows, and I think we should differentiate between the hypnosis that you see as a performance and entertainment that is performed on stage versus therapeutic hypnosis, which is a different matter. But what I want to get to is the core idea that there is this special mental state, a hypnotic mental state that makes us vulnerable to being manipulated by others, almost work like a puppet, like the hypnotist is working your strings like a marionette. That is not the case. There is no such thing as a hypnotic mental state. We can be in a suggestible, susceptible state of mind. We can make choices consciously or subconsciously to go along with what people are telling us to do. But this idea that we are somehow unable to control our own bodies if a hypnotist is telling us to do something is not true. At every point, you are making a choice, whether you are conscious of it or not. Hypnotists cannot control you. And this idea that people were utterly unable to control what was happening to them, they were powerless to come out of it, they were totally under the control of the hypnotist, is nonsense. That doesn't happen. The closest we have to a hypnotic mental state, I would say, is similar to when you're sitting, staring out a window, lost in thought, and someone tries to get your attention and you sort of startle, come back to it. That sort of semi-trance-like state is the closest thing that we have to a hypnotic mental state. And it is something similar to that people are, by choice, allowing themselves to go into when they are hypnotized. In a therapeutic setting, it's a different matter. It really is about helping to get people to get a little bit of distance, I think, from the pain and the intensity of emotion. Whereas in a performative sense, it's all about entertainment. But either way, there is no such thing as a hypnotic mental state where somebody can control you and operate you like a puppet. That does not exist. So, don't you feel smarter? These are 3 things that a lot of people believe in, but you know better. So, I hope you found that entertaining. Anyway, short one today. Have a good weekend.